Hey, Mrparka here to review a Blu-ray double feature from Arrow USA. These two are being released together. Sergio Martino's Your Vice's Locked Room and Only I Have the Key, and Lucio Fulci's Black Cat. I was familiar with both these guys' works, obviously, being two of the Italian maestros, if you will, and both have similarities in that they pretty much dabble and dip into every genre that Italian cinema did, from comedies all the way up until horror films to adventure films and things like that. Well, westerns and stuff like that. Westerns, horror, comedy. They all, tasted them all and tried them all, I should say. And so these are two films I actually hadn't seen by both of them. And I was doing some thinking and looking around and things, and I realized that Lucio Fulci is the director that I've seen of any other director that I've seen his most work, and I had not seen The Black Cat. And this was actually squeezed in between, I think, two of his most beloved films, right before The Beyond, and I think right after City of Living Dead or Zombie. Around that time, I'd say Fulci's horror heyday, which was what made him so popular amongst splatter fans. And The Black Cat, although doesn't necessarily deliver on that splatter, it does have, a lot of Fulci-esque things, close up of the eyes, this weird fog and atmosphere, crypts, and, things like that. It's based on the Poe story, which I have read a couple times, but it's kind of a strange story. I don't remember every detail about it, and really it's only in title only. This one takes the idea that the cat is killing people and it's an evil cat. And has this weird side story with Patrick Magny from Tales from the Crypt, communicating with the dead. Really kind of weird and stuff like that. Essentially, you have the superstitious feel that Fulci always does, and there is a couple gratuitous death scenes in here. And although some of the deaths aren't necessarily gratuitous, they are cruel in Fulci spirit. Fulci never really shies away from making someone suffer on screen. There's a scene with a couple who end up getting suffocated, and that's just kind of a sad moment, and he adds these little touches into it that just only Fulci could do to make it cruel. Like they reach out their hands and try to touch each other when they're dying, and that's definitely a Fulci touch. I'd say just that little bit of hint of cruelty. Mipsy Farmer's in here. She's in a bunch of movies. Autopsy, which is one of those ones I watched but I can't remember a thing about, which probably doesn't say too many good things about my memory, actually, when it comes to a lot of the movies that I've watched back to back years ago, especially in the Italian giallo genre. But what we have here is also, of course, Al Cliver, who appears in almost more Fulci movies than anyone else, and the awesome David Warbeck, who made an appearance later in The Beyond and stuff like Ratman? I think it's called Ratman, and stuff like Pervella. And this movie's actually pretty solid. Like I said, it's a solid Fulci entry. It's better than stuff that came later, like Enigma and Solomon's Ghost or Sodomon's Ghost. I can't remember. And what's the other one I'm thinking of off the top of my head? Mrparka. It's definitely better than those films. It doesn't peg up against something like a masterpiece like Zombie or The Beyond. But I'd say it's worth checking out for sure. It's shot really nice. There's some POV cat murder stuff. It's well shot, has good atmosphere, and is an all-around competent movie, and a good little pickup. If you're a Fulci fan, you probably missed this one. If you have, it doesn't have the big popularity, the infamy of the other titles. But the features on the disc are remarkable, to be honest. They have an old interview with David Warbeck that he died in ¡97. This interview was shot 2 years before. It's really kind of a strange interview. He's talking about how his friends died of cancer, and it's just strange all these people have cancer, and then he got cancer and passed away. He talks about everything, and you get to really, I think, get to know him a little bit. It's a long interview, and there's also a horror expert on there, which says all these amazing things about Fulci's career, and he's just an absolute genius when it comes to this movie and Fulci, and he does a great job in explaining it and things like that. Great documentary on here. There's also a commentary by Chris Alexander, former chief editor of Fangoria, and I listened to part of that, and it was very interesting. I just had to move on to the next one. I've been very busy, but yeah, I'd say Black Cat is a solid recommendation, a medium recommendation. Not the most amazing Fulci movie ever made, but definitely one that you should check out. And moving on to the next one, it is Sergio Martino's Your Vice is a Locked Room and Only I Have the Key. And what's funny about Sergio Martino, I'm more familiar with his jungle adventure movies and some of his giallos than like his sex comedies that came later, and a lot of his other more popular giallo titles. So when I put this one in, I didn't know necessarily what to expect. I've seen my fair share of giallos, but this is definitely again a take on the Black Cat Poe story. That's why these two are lumped together. And I'd say this one is they're both really kind of far-fetched from the the story. This one has some aspects that the other one doesn't in it, but it's really not, you know, any really Poe story in there. Essentially what we have here is a very abusive writer husband whose mother just passed away. They have this weird, he had a weird incestuous tones with his mother, and he's very abusive towards his wife. The guy who plays the husband, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but you guys will remember him from such stuff as Bay of Blood, The Good and the Bad and the Ugly, and For a Few Dollars More, A Fistful of Dollars. He's in the second of the Sergio Leone ones, and he's got a great role. He's always a great actor, really good character actor, and does a great job, has a very unique look about him. And he's really good in this movie. I thought he was top-notch. I thought actually the cast was really well done in this one as well. And essentially what we have here is a really classy, equal parts classy looking film and equal parts super sleazy sexual movie. Lots of sex and love triangles and twists and turns and betrayals going on here. The deaths, again, are fairly mean-spirited, as Italian films tend to do. And the cat in this one is kind of, you know, the guy's, it's his relic of what his mother once had, and he, like, has a special fondness with the cat, and his wife hates him. And they kind of flip this one, hates the cat. They kind of, and they do the eye gouging, and the very ending is very reminiscent of the Poe story, but that's about as far as I would say that they're even there, as far as concerned as Poe is involved with this. But, we have Fenech in this movie, who is in a bunch of movies, and I'm not even familiar with her sex comedy. She's had a long and storied career. There's a special feature on here about it, which taught me many things about Italian films, more than I expected to learn, and I am surprised there's that much stuff going on. And it was really good, a nice documentary. There's interviews with Sergio Martino, and back to the movie. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. But regardless, the film has a nice twist, and turns in here. This is definitely one of those movies where you can't really trust anyone, as in almost all Italian cinema. But this one is filled with nudity, filled with sexual cruelty, kind of like just sleazy, classy, and just mean-spirited. But this double feature is actually has it's loaded with features. I was very impressed with the time they put on here, and they have a very great Fenech, I hope I'm pronouncing her name correct, a Fenech documentary on here about an expert, and they have other features and interviews and things like that about Sergio Martino's giallos, and they have, like I said, these things are stocked loaded. I'll probably go buy the real edition when I get some extra cash, but it's a nice entry to two lesser, not lesser known, but not infamous films by these guys, because The Black Cat and Your Vice are kind of in the medium, and they're ones that need to be rediscovered more so, you know, and if you're looking for, you know, a new Fulci that you might not have seen, and you're burnt out on watching Zombie or The Beyond for the 150th time, I say check out The Black Cat, but don't expect the gore fest. There's a couple scenes here and there, but it's no longer, it's not that crazy gore fest, but it does have the Fulci touchings. And Your Vice is actually one of the better giallos I've seen, with some really great performances and great music as well. So I'd say check this release out, especially if you're into Italian cinema. I'm sure you guys, if you're watching this review, you are, and I'm sure you guys probably know more about those two films than me. These are two that actually I was not familiar with, you know, and I would say I'm pretty familiar with Italian horror, but these are cool titles that I was really happy to see, and am happy they get a great treatment like this. I'm Mrparka. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good one.
We need each other. We are bound together by hatred. He wants to kill me.
But he's only a cat.
A cat that sooner or later will kill me.
The daughter's death was an accident which we haven't managed to explain. An epidemic of accidents, and all of them pretty weird.
Death is not the end of everything. Just the beginning of a new journey. I want to speak with them.
But there are limits. Barriers.
We set up those barriers in self-defense. Perhaps we've all possibilities within ourselves we are not aware of. Powers we ourselves don't understand.
Maybe we don't want to, because we're terrified.
I have such powers, and I'm not terrified.
You haven't got me out of bed just to look at me.
Well, I think it's a good idea.
Well, I hope you've got a better one.
Better, but not so good. No, I need some more information on your theories about cats.
Not cats. One cat.
All right, one cat. A killer cat.
For you, it's a theory. For me, it's a certainty.
He would have to have thought it out.
In the case of the two kids, it was the cat also.
They'll think we're crazy if we say it's a cat.
It wasn't the first time I've kept an eye on him. My last night, there he was at the cemetery.
You actually heard him talking to the dead?
God knows what you're capable of seeing when you've had a few.
But I tell you, I did.